life doesn't come with an instruction manual, so you live and you learn. Even if you were guided in a certain direction and you stray away from it, I feel like it's just nothing for you to really regret. Just take the lesson and move on. Next time, don't do that. Hey y'all, it's Megan May, and this is Transparency, where we keep it real about our growing pains and all the beautiful moving parts of life that may not be the most glamorous, but are definitely the things that shape us into who we are. So if you're ready for some introspection and evolution, go ahead and subscribe. If what I say resonates with you, go ahead and leave me a comment, a like, so I know we see each other. Okay, so to go ahead and jump straight into the video, I did start Transparency back in 2020, and at the time I said that I would be signing off November 2020 and returning back in June or July, I believe, of 2021. It is now January 20th, 2024, and so much time has passed. I'm aware of that, and the reason why I didn't return when I anticipated to was because life happened. It flipped me all upside down, around and around, stumped me out, all of that, and I just did not feel confident enough to present myself in front of a camera at that, because I did know that when I returned, I wanted to put it on YouTube. That was something that I got across the board as feedback, like, we just want to see you, while you talking to us. And I understand, because I feel like if you're a visual learner, or just somebody that's a little bit more, I guess you would say, I don't know, like a little bit more hands-on. I didn't want to use hands-on because I'm not actually doing things, building things with y'all, but you know, people learn differently, and I do understand that. So I did understand why that was such a frequent comment, but I did want to be my best self. And am I my best self now? We're always evolving and changing and growing, hopefully. So I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily my best self now, but I am way better than when I signed off with you guys and when I anticipated returning to you guys. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy that you are here. And I hope that we can just continue to foster and grow together a wonderful community that's all about just becoming our best selves and becoming the healthiest version of ourselves. Okay? So, brief history about what happened. Really, to not get too deep into it, because I don't want the episode to be strictly about that. I want it to be about just the things in general that dark period of my life has taught me. I just entered a depression. I was already fighting depression, but I felt like I was on the winning side of it from 2018 up until 2022. And I say 2022 because I really had to make the decision of if I was going to allow depression to be my end all be all. Like, was that going to be the end of my story? Like, I've always dreamed of such big things for myself, and I know the potential that I hold. So it was really becoming hurtful to witness myself deteriorate. And I've been journaling since 2018 when I first entered my depression. That's honestly what's been the cornerstone to my involvement in becoming a little bit, well, not a little bit, but a lot more healthy mentally. So if you are currently battling anything, and even if you're not, if you feel like you are living the best days of your life today, I do encourage you to journal, because having something to go back and refer to and see just how far you've come it does a lot. It really does a lot. But yes, I entered a depression, and I was looking forward to graduating college because I felt like, okay, I'll finally be able to exhale. I had already came up with the plan of not jumping straight into the workforce. I was going to give myself a few months before even starting to apply for jobs. And that's just not what happened. That's just not what happened. I went through a very bad breakup, and it was a lot of mental and emotional abuse that was included in that. And while I felt very sure of myself in terms of who I am to my core and the person that I am and pride myself in being, it started to like affect me in ways that I didn't really anticipate. And then things just piled on one after another because, like I said, I was only giving myself a gap of a few months. But because I was getting deeper and deeper into a dark space, those months became the rest of the year. And then 2022 rolled around and I just kept creating these different deadlines for myself, but I wasn't applying myself to meet those deadlines. And so things just started to accumulate over time and I just kept getting in a worse and worse headspace. And around the summer of 2022, I told myself like, okay, something's got to give. And I sought therapy and I was not successful in that. I was trying to go through my insurance, and you know, they had me do like this assessment, and after the assessment they sent me like a link to go ahead and review for various people that practice. And I found somebody that I thought, based off of her biography and her professional summary, resonated really well with what I needed help with. And she was unresponsive. She never answered the phone. I don't remember if she provided an email or not, but she never contacted me directly to say like, oh, I'm not going to be able to take you on as a new client. She did text me. I don't know if it was her or if it's some type of secretary, assistant, whoever that does her admin. I don't know who it is that texted me, but the text didn't even come within like a reasonable timeline. The text would come, she texted twice. The first text, I want to say, was probably a week after I initially left the voicemail, and I followed up with another call, no response. And the next time that I received the text was probably almost pushing a month since the last time I inquired about having her as my therapist, and it was very discouraging. I just didn't care to continue pushing forward in that route. I'm not gonna say I gave up entirely, because I did share this experience with a few of my friends and I explored different options online as well, but it just was too much of a hassle for me at that period of my life. Like, I just didn't feel like I wanted to put in all that work. And realistically, depression is something that you can't take lightly. It's very debilitating. Is that the word? Debilitating? But it is very much like hard for you to show up for yourself, much less those around you. And if you're not intentional about changing your circumstance, it will keep you down for however long, until you make that choice. Like, you have to make the choice of wanting to be better, and it's easier said than done. I'm not here to kick it to you like it's just the easiest thing. As I said, I signed off 2020, anticipated coming back 6 months later, and that just didn't happen. And here we are over 3 years later. I'm just not returning to you guys because I am in the healthiest state that I've been mentally. Physically, y'all, I have gained almost 30 pounds since graduating college, but we'll talk about that in a whole nother video when it's a little bit more relevant. But without further ado, let's actually get into the video, because I don't want my first episode to be a dark episode. Like, y'all, if you have been through depression, you know it's very dark. It's very dark. Not to say that it's not something important to talk about. We can definitely circle back to it, but my first episode back, no. I just wanted to let you guys know where I've been and why I've been gone for so long, for those that have been here since I was just doing my little auditory version of transparency. But if you're completely new, thank you again for signing on with us. And now let's talk about the lessons that I learned in my absence. Whew. So, of course, I'm sure you've heard so many other people tell you that it's so important in being able to spend time alone. And when people say this, they normally are saying like it's important for you to value your solitude and not be scared of being alone. And that's very important. But I think at times there's no other choice but for you to be alone. There could be a situation where you have to move, or where others that you love and your close-knit circle moves away from you. There could be experiences or times where people just have different priorities now, and the things that you guys once frequented, you can't continue to do as frequently. Like, you have to give them the space to grow and expand and pursue different things in their life, whether it be them introducing a partner, starting a family, taking on a new job, traveling more for whatever reason. Like, things are inevitable in life, and change is one of those things. Change is the most inevitable thing in life. Things change whether you're ready for it or not, whether you want it or not. And it's important, whether you are choosing your solitude or if you are forced into solitude, that you know how to navigate that time alone. So that's what this episode will be about. I want you to write these things down, because this is what helped me exit that dark period of my life and really begin to appreciate myself more and just life more in general, whether that be the people that I don't too much care for, the experiences that I didn't too much care for. It just allowed me to see a lot more value in every single day, because whether you are now more aware of your triggers or you are more aware of what you want to improve on or accomplish, let go of, those things, having that at the forefront of your mind shape you into the next version of yourself. And I feel like we oftentimes categorize the end of one completion around the sun and entering into our new age as a new chapter, but realistically, we enter new chapters all the time. We enter new chapters of our life all the time. You can enter a new chapter every month, every week. It really doesn't matter. There's no timeline to it. It's all about who you are and the lessons that you are taking with you and applying into the next day, into the next week, into the next month. Okay, so during your time alone, if you're not an introverted person, it might be very, very hard for you. You may not know what to do with your time. You might think that you're actually going crazy. But I feel like I'm a very much introverted person. I am introverted, extroverted. If I go out, I do have a good time. I'm not scared to make conversation, make new friends. But at the same time, if I have the choice, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to choose to stay at home, be in my bed, watching a movie, doing whatever. Because I just like being by myself. I feel like I have a lot more fun by myself. Not saying I don't have fun. Like, I love being with my family. I love being with my family. And my family is my blood and my bond family. Anytime I say family, I'm talking about the blood and the bond family. But the people that you see me with, I love being around them. So don't get me wrong. But I just enjoy being by myself. It's something about being by myself that just feels very safe. And I don't know if that's like as a result of me being by myself that wasn't by choice, like going to a school away from my friends and having to be by myself. I really can't tell you, because I don't think that this is how I was as a child. I always wanted to be going somewhere, and I always wanted a friend to be over here, or let me go somewhere else with a friend, my sister, my cousins, whoever. Like, I just wanted to always be doing something with somebody. But I value my alone time now, and I think it's so important for everybody to get to a space where they value their alone time. And the things that I paid attention to during my time alone are the things that I'm going to list out to you, to do an exercise and find out what these things are for you in your specific situation. So the first thing I want you to write, and yes, I'm saying write, and I mean write, not think about. You can think about it too, but when you actually have something that you can go back and refer to, it does so much more for you. It does so much more for you, because it's like a reminder. You know, when you think thoughts, you don't often have that same thought unless something triggers it. But when you write something down and it's physical, you can actually like stumble across it, or just remember that you once did this exercise. And also, I've realized that writing things down, because I'm big on writing. I love to write. But writing things down allows you to process more of that thought. You might think something and then get distracted really quickly, but once you actually submerge yourself in what you're doing, which writing is an exercise that you can definitely submerge yourself in, you just uncover so much more than what's at the surface. So yes, I want you to write. And the first thing I want you to write is what triggers you. Like, I ain't finna even sit here and try to sing on this camera, but y'all know that Janae Aiko song when she like, trigger when I see your face, all that. Yes. If you are a lover girl or somebody that just feels very deeply, then there are so many triggers for you, because I think a lot of times we just can't really wrap our head around why people do us in ways that we would never do them. So there's so many things that trigger you as a result of that. But I want you to write down your triggers, whether it be a trigger from a partner, a friend, an employer, a coworker, something that you probably do yourself that triggers you. Like, this could be anything from going on your ex's page to see what they're doing. Have they moved on? Who are they talking to? Are they still hanging around with that friend that you feel like was always a bad influence? Anything within those realms, you are triggering yourself, okay? Because if that person is completely over here doing whatever it is that they're doing with their life, it's not your concern, baby. Let it go. Let it go. So write your triggers. Second thing I want you to write is what excites you. What excites you about life in general? What makes you happy? What makes your heart smile? What makes your heart full? What gets you going? What excites you? What are you passionate about? What do you value? Those are the things that you really need to sit with. And then if you are in a period of uncertainty in your life, allow those things to guide you. I'm not saying any of this stuff is going to be easy. I'm still in this process myself. But allow these things to guide you into the next step. What's next for you? Allow these things to guide you, because if you find what excites you, you don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about happiness, because it's automatically going to be there. So that's number 2. What excites you? The third thing, what are you good at? A lot of times this thing may align with what excites you, but sometimes you're good at things and it doesn't necessarily excite you, you're just good at it. But again, these are things that can lead you along the path of feeling more fulfilled, feeling like your life has a lot more meaning. And especially if you're coming out of a dark place, having this resonate in your mind, like, I'm really good at this, you might just start to exercise that and allow it to bring you out of that space. Or allow it to create some excitement about the next day. Just doing it every single day, just because you know you're good at it, it's something that can really propel you forward. So find out what it is that you're good at. What have you been habitually good at? What is it, something that you just stumbled upon and realized that you're good at? Or something that people often compliment you for? That may be something that you're really good at, that you just overlook because it's not really of that much interest to you. So that's the third thing, guys. That's the third thing. And the fourth thing is, what do you want to improve or accomplish? I feel like we are always taught to shoot for the stars. And yes, we should shoot for the stars. But we have to start small, you guys. And I feel like a lot of times we kind of stumble or fumble our dreams or our short-term goals, because long-term goals you will always be like, you know, striving for that and working towards that. But short-term goals, especially if there's a time constraint on it, you oftentimes miss out on opportunities because you don't really think about what it is that you need to improve or what it is that you really want to accomplish on a very minuscule level. So I want you to think about that. What is it that you want to improve? It could be anything. It could be your interpersonal skills. It could be the care that you take for yourself, your hygiene, the way you carry yourself. For me, that was something that I genuinely wanted to improve, because, and I'm gonna say this because really, I noticed that the things that made me so excited when I was little are the things that still make me so excited. And when I was little, I loved getting dressed up. I loved getting my hair done. I just loved being treated like a princess and doing anything that I felt like a princess would be doing. So when I realized that I wasn't taking too much more pride in my appearance, it really started to like mess with me, because I'm like, Why is it that I just don't care? I'll throw a hat on in a heartbeat. Well, now I don't, but I was throwing on hats anywhere I go. I'm throwing on a hat. Not the same hat. I had pretty much developed a collection of hats, and I was just throwing on a hat. Or I was throwing on sweatpants and a hoodie. I was throwing on flip-flops and slides. I wasn't really putting too much effort into my appearance. And realistically, if this is something that you really are struggling with, if you are struggling with your image, then you need to figure out what it is that you want to appear to the world as. Like, who it is that you want to appear as, and find the style that accompanies that. So that could just be one thing. That's just an example. But it really could be anything. You could be wanting to improve on your spending habits. You could be wanting to improve on not eating fast food. It could be anything. And what you want to accomplish often aligns with the things that you want to improve on. So if you want to improve on your spending habits, you might want to accomplish a certain savings goal. You might want to accomplish redirecting that money into starting a business. It can really be anything. So I'm not going to do the work for you, baby. I'm just providing you with examples to get the brain cells working, baby. But yes, that is another thing that you need to write on your list, is what you want to improve and what you want to accomplish. The next thing, and this one might cause you a couple of tears, but you'll be okay, because you need to release these things. You need to get them out of you. Like, especially if you are one of those people that always try to play so hard, so strong. You're the strongest friend, you're the mother, you're the father, you're the sister, you're the cousin that everybody comes to. You don't really bring these certain questions to the surface, especially this next one, and that is, what is haunting you? This can be anything that you regret from your past. This can be anything causing anxiety about your future. It can be anything, but you need to find out what is haunting you. For me, the thing that haunts me the most, and I'm gonna say this without crying, so I'm gonna say it really quick, is not having my parents and my immediate family that have molded me into the woman that I am today and have supported me through the most challenging times of my life see me as successful as they know I will become. That is what haunts me. That is what haunts me. I am not a person that lives with regrets. I'm not gonna say I don't feel shame, but I feel like it's very hard for me to feel shame, because I realize that I am a person and life doesn't come with an instruction manual, so you live and you learn. Even if you were guided in a certain direction and you stray away from it, I feel like it's just nothing for you to really regret. Just take the lesson and move on. Next time, don't do that. Just don't do it. I guess if you repeat something that you knew you wasn't supposed to be doing, then you might regret doing it a second time. But realistically, I just don't feel like you should live with your life with any regrets. But that is the thing that haunts me. So think about, what is it that you are very fearful of, and what is it that you probably haven't really come to terms with, if it is something that's in your past and it's like keeping you up at night, or it's replaying in your head constantly. Like, bring that to the surface. Bring it to the surface, address it, look it in the eyes, and then you can start to actually take the active measures into allowing that thing to no longer haunt you. So for me, saying that, you know, my thing that's haunting me is not having success, where my parents and my siblings and my auntie and those who just been along for the ride are not able to enjoy the fruits of my labor with me. I just now get up and do what I need to be doing. That's it. That's all that I do differently. Is I'm very more diligent in organizing my days and knowing what I want, checking in with myself. I journal religiously so that I can know like how I am up here and what am I doing in my days to get closer to the goals that I've set for myself. And just having that accountability within myself keeps me at bay. Like, I'm not anxious about the future, because I trust that things are happening at God's timing, but things are happening behind the scenes that I can't see, and the success is already there. And I pray very religiously for them to still be here. I pray for my loved ones and not to live to see 100 years old. So, you know, like, I just trust and I let go and I let God. But that will be the thing that I discovered haunted me the most. That's all I'm going to give you guys in terms of the list and the work that I want you guys to do. But things that you can do also, aside from what I just presented to you, is go on Pinterest, go on Google, go on Pinterest. I'm sure you can go on TikTok. I'm not big on TikTok just yet. I keep saying every year that I need to be more involved in TikTok. I don't know, it just came when I just wasn't interested. TikTok, Reels on Instagram, those things presented themselves when I just wasn't interested in social media, and so I just never really got into the groove of those things. But I'm sure in due time. But yes, you can go on those platforms and you can search inner work or shadow work questions and do some more introspection to really uncover the things that may be hindering you or holding you back from being the better version of yourself that you keep thinking about but haven't yet stepped into. Okay, so now that I've given you guys an exercise to do, of course you can do it at any time. You don't have to do it as you're listening to this episode, because I want you to still, of course you'll still have access to the episode, but I want you to still be engaged with what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you a few more things that can alter your perception of just life in general and yourself if you are in a very dark period. And again, you don't have to be in the darkest of times for you to exercise these things or really take heed to these things. You can be having a really great life right now, but we do know that there's ebbs and flows in life. There's ups and downs, there's mountains and valleys. And so regardless, I just feel like these are things that you should put into practice, because if you already make it a habit to do certain things, it's not as hard when you really need those tools. It's not as hard to access them and to exercise them. So the next thing I want to tell you, and this isn't anything that you have to do like super deep introspection on, but just something that you should consider, is to embrace the love and support of your loved ones. I had my family so concerned about me, and I didn't feel like I was pushing them away. I felt like I just wanted to be by myself, and I just kept saying that, like, I just want to be by myself. And they'll ask me like, are you okay? And I'll be like, yes, I just don't really want to talk about it, you know. And while it's okay to feel that way, because I think everyone really understands why someone would feel that way, it's also important to know that if you do have those people that love you, they are genuinely concerned about what it is that's going on. And if you aren't sharing those things, it's only going to cause those people that are super close to you more stress and anxiety about your well-being. So if you do have a support system, lean into them. You know, you don't have to force yourself in periods of times where you really want to just be alone. You don't have to necessarily force yourself to be around them, but you can let them in a little. And if they're offering you encouragement, take it. Don't just feel like, I've heard this before, it's not going to do anything. Really take into consideration what they're saying. And if they extend themselves, definitely take the invitation. And even if it's as simple as just having somebody come sit with you, you don't have to talk about what's going on, but you might just want somebody to just come sit with you, watch a television show. You might just want somebody to take a walk with you. And if you have that person or those people in your corner that's saying, I'm here, utilize them. Take full and proper advantage of them, because it's not something that you can, life is just not something that you can do on your own. And I had to learn that the hard way. Like, you can be a woman, a man of many hats. It really doesn't matter. You just can't do this all on your own. It takes a village. That doesn't stop after childhood. They talk about it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get through life. So there's nothing that you should just take on by yourself. If you have a support system, definitely lean into them and be willing to get help and accepting of the help that they offer. So aside from doing the introspection and the self-work and also embracing those that are around you. I don't know why I didn't say this first, but like, maybe because in my head it's a given, but it's probably not a given. It's probably not a given. And I've been telling myself that, especially when I be talking to people about different things. Like, don't always expect the person that you're talking to be on the same page as you. Like, sometimes we don't think about things until people bring it to our attention. And so I would like to say that give it to God, y'all. Like, OMG. Before I could even gather myself, before I could let anyone in on what was going on with me, and really even trust that the people that I was sharing these very vulnerable moments with even cared genuinely, like, I knew that the people that I had around me, because there's only been a few that I've cut off, and those people, they didn't even know the situation. We just pretty much grew apart. It wasn't even like any beef or any drama aside from my actual last experience, and that's what I call them, experience. But really, like, you just can't do this life without God, period. It ain't even about no dark days, no bright days. You can't do nothing without God. And so I literally just had to strengthen my faith in God and trust that he was going to get me through the situation. And I know that oftentimes when you're not in the best state of mind, and even when you just might not be in the worst state of mind, but you're just not in the part of life that seems the most joyful and blissful, you may sometimes feel like, you know, God, if God is so real, why am I in this situation, and how is he allowing things to get so bad? Because sometimes things are bad and they just get extraordinarily extraordinarily worse. But realistically, guys, it's just so that you can learn a lesson. It's for you to shed layers of yourself that no longer serve you. For you to understand that there's something so much deeper and so much more meaningful about your life that you just haven't yet identified. And you just have to really put yourself in that space to start to begin to understand these things and start to be accepting of the lesson in the hardship and in the heartbreak. You know, that should have been my number one tip for you guys before I even gave you an exercise. I should have been like, listen, if you in a dark space, you need to lean on God, because that's really what you first need to do. I mean, he's going to make things so much more clear for you and really hold your hand through it all. He's going to show you the people that you probably need to let go of. He's going to show you the behaviors and the habits that are hurting you more than they're helping you. Like, even if they were once helpful, they probably just don't serve you anymore. But we become so accustomed to doing what seems so familiar, and we get so comfortable when things start to work for us that even when they no longer work for us, it's just like instinctive. It's just a habit. We just do it because that's what we know to do. But realistically, it gotta go. Especially when you're in that low point in your life, it just has to go. And God makes it a lot more easy, because when you really understand that he already knew that you was going to be in this situation, and he sees the end of it before you even see the light at the end of the tunnel, God knows that this is almost over for you. And I want to quote this scripture, and this isn't by any means a faith-based podcast. I don't want to claim it as such, because sometimes my mouth will get reckless, but I do want to say that my faith lies in God. And so where I am and the advice that I give is coming from that space. The love and the care and the nurture is all coming from the space of me just believing that God will get you through. And God sees you, he hears you, he understands you, and he's going to make a way. And so the quote is, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And let that really sit with you. Let that really sit with you. Because even when life is going great, we just certain instances happen where we just have bad days or bad moments within a day. And if you keep that at the forefront of your mind, like, you're going to know that you shouldn't allow that circumstance and that experience or situation to have that much of an impact on your mental health or your well-being, because you know that it's all going to pass. So you take it with a grain of salt. You learn the lesson that's meant to be learned from it. But you go on about your life and you understand that joy comes in the morning. Like, this cannot hold you back. This will not hold you down. You will rise up above whatever it is that is hurting you, that is haunting you. Another quote that I want to leave with you guys is that things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. And this goes back into just saying, like, God already know. He knew, he knows. He's the all-knowing, the all-seeing. So when you think about things hurting your feelings or putting you 500 steps behind where you thought you would be at, God already knew. And so if you look at it as a lesson, if you look at it as a building block, a stepping stone, it takes all of the pressure of, wow, how could this happen? This is preventing me from being in this space in my life, and I wanted this. Why is this happening instead? Like, it takes all of that out of the picture for you, and it allows you to really just be like, you know what? I can't stand this person, or I'm so heartbroken by this experience, or I'm so devastated at the disloyalty or at the lack of acknowledgement. Whatever it is that is really like getting to you, it allows you to realize, like, you know what? For example, you could be thinking, and I'm using this example as a personal example, I'm so qualified for these jobs that I'm applying to. I'm so much better than many of the candidates. Maybe you know some of the other people that have applied and probably gotten a position or currently work for that employer. You may feel like you're just so much more qualified and you just keep getting passed over. And the lesson in that could just be perseverance. It could just be patience, you know? I think a lot of times we just be so focused on the end goal, and it's just like we don't take what comes with it. We want everything to just be victory, victory, victory. And what do you really learn when you're continuously handed all of the things that you want without really having to be in that waiting season? You know, you find out and learn so much about yourself during those waiting seasons in your life. Maybe you just need to redirect altogether. Maybe it is that you're pursuing something that's just beneath you. Alright guys, we're wrapping up the episode, but I do want to talk about some mindset shift things with you. And it plays back into just saying how, like, God is the all-knowing and all-seeing God, and you should really just lean into him, because if you do strengthen your faith in that regard, it helps you to understand that things are not happening to you, they're happening for you. And I say that to say that a lot of times we just want victory after victory. We want things to be on the up and up. We don't want to stay down for too long. You know, we may feel like we're losing ourselves in those periods where things are just not happening the way that we want them to, or the way that we think that they should. And it's important to know that during those waiting seasons, there's always a lesson for us to take from those disheartening experiences and those not so pleasant circumstances that we find ourselves in. It could be that you just need to altogether redirect. It could be that you need to really shed some parts of you that are not serving you anymore. It could be that you are pursuing things that are just beneath you. You are continuing cycles that been stopped serving you so long ago. Or you are still inviting people into your life that's just taken from you, and you're not actually pouring into yourself the way that you should be pouring into yourself. There's so many different things that if you really just slow down and take the time to acknowledge, you will find that it's not that God doesn't want this for you. It's not that God is trying to punish you. It's just that you are just not in the season of harvesting those things just yet. And I think it's important for us to understand that you have to speak life into yourself. You know, things take their time in manifesting and coming to fruition. You could be working endlessly. You can be working so hard. You know when they be saying, like, oh, you can't give up on yourself because that very next day or that very next step, that very next thing could be your breakthrough. Like, you have to think with that mindset. You have to have a half full versus half empty mindset about life at all times. And you just have to speak life into your situation. Like, it's very hard when you're in a dark place, but it's not impossible. And to put things more into perspective for you, like, in those periods of where I was going through my depression, I feel like it was very hard to just do regular things. I could wear the same outfit 3 days in a row. I could take a shower and put on the same outfit. I could not take a shower. I don't think I went as long as 3 days, but I know there's been days where I just didn't shower, didn't brush my teeth, and I didn't care. I was just coming to lay in my bed. Like, I wasn't eating, you know. I just was pretty much letting myself rot away. And I didn't see no positives. I couldn't find no positives. I was just thinking that things were happening to me, and I just kept saying, I feel stuck, I feel stuck. And if you tell yourself that you're stuck, you're going to operate in a way that shows that you are stuck, you know. So you have to speak life into yourself. And if all you can say is, God, I'm so happy that you opened my eyes, I'm so happy that you have breath in my lungs, then say that every day until you can find something else to be grateful for. Gratitude will change your world. If you feel like you are already such a grateful person, be even more grateful. Find something else to be grateful about. Gratitude will change your world. And I feel like we go about our lives in this routine, and it's like certain things are just expected. We expect to wake up the next morning and go to our jobs or go to school and see our friends, you know. But things really do happen. Some people really don't wake up. Some people wake up, you know how sometimes you probably went to bed feeling fine, you wake up in the morning, you can't even breathe out your nose properly because you done caught a cold, but it didn't get into your system until you was asleep. Like, things happen. So when you slow down and you really acknowledge what's going on in your life, God, I'm able to move on my own. I can open this door. I can walk down these steps. I have a car to get into. It might not be the most glamorous. You might be in a living situation that's probably not the best suitable or your most desired situation, but you have a roof over your head. It is currently, I don't even know where my phone is. I think the high for today is 30 degrees. And there's people that don't have a home. They don't have anywhere insulated to protect themselves from this kind of weather. You have to speak life into yourself, and you have to acknowledge the things that God has placed into your life. Life is not terrible. It might not be the ideal life that you want at this moment, but that doesn't mean, just because it's not here now doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Life isn't terrible. You know, you are not stuck. Okay? You are not a failure. I'm really just trying to think of the things that played through my mind. But this is not the end for you. It's not over till God say it's over, baby. Listen, I'm laughing, but I'm so serious, because I'm so grateful to just be on the other side of that period of just not really knowing when the next day of sunshine would see me. And I've now been in this period for a year, and it feels really good. You have to expand your mind too, guys. I feel like it's very easy for you to be stuck in the mundane of life if you don't really challenge yourself and stretch yourself and just experience new things. For me, I started reading. Like I said, I channeled all of the things that I enjoyed as a child, and reading was one of those things. And it's surprising because, of course, back then I was reading fiction mostly, but I was reading self-development books, and it's a whole new world. It's really a whole new world. Like, you just have to apply yourself, and you have to really want more for yourself. And like I said, I'm not downplaying how deep and dark rooted depression is, but everything in life is a choice, you guys. And if all you can do is take the liberty and the choice to get up and stretch, get up and open your curtains, even if you just go straight back to bed after that, Just find something every day that you can do that is showing yourself that you can move past what you've currently been doing and what you're currently experiencing, because it's not the end. It's really not the end for you. So sticking to the point of mindset, I think it is important for us to be realistic. Life isn't happening to you. You are happening with life. You are life in itself. And so though sometimes circumstances happen that seem out of our control, a lot of the times we did contribute in some type of way. It could be the lack of preparation. It could be the lack of execution. It could be overextension. It could be anything, you guys. And I really want you to change the mindset of things happening to you. Things are not happening to you, and even if things are happening for you and they're just not the most pleasant lesson of your life, think about how you contributed to this lesson and what solution will you provide yourself with. Again, that's not something that you would likely be able to do on your own. You may need a friend or someone to hold you accountable. You may need somebody that's more so a professional to help you get to the solution. But seek a solution and actually apply yourself to allow that solution to work. That's really the only way that you make it to the other side, is identifying the outcome that you are most desiring and applying yourself every day until you get to that outcome. And if you really don't want to return back into this state of feeling sorry for yourself or hating yourself or whatever it is, then you really just need to sit and figure out, how did you contribute? How could you avoid this repeating again? And if you really cannot think of anything that you did to contribute to putting yourself in this situation or landing yourself in this situation, then perhaps, just perhaps, maybe you didn't contribute. But what is it that you would avoid? What were the telltale signs or the red flags that you possibly ignored? What are the things that next time maybe you would confront differently? What are the things that next time maybe you would confront differently and move about differently? You know, just really ask yourself these things and allow them to guide your next steps. I want to close off with this comment, and I feel like a preacher. You know how the preachers be saying, like, I'm gonna close, this is my last point, like, and it don't be that. I got notes here, and it's just like, I guess I was expounding on my bullet points more than I anticipated, because I'm just now coming to my last point before my closing remarks, child. But I think a lot of times we be wanting closure. If it's a rejection from a job, we want to know why we wasn't picked. If somebody ghosted us that we was talking to, probably not even actually dating, but just was like getting to know, in a sense. I mean, at this age, I'm in a relationship now, but at this age, it ain't too much texting, getting to know. Like, we gotta go out and get to know, because I'm gonna get bored real fast. Give it a couple of days, and if you ain't saying nothing about, oh, when am I free, like, I'll be out of here. But I know that, you know, my audience may stem from a younger age range, because these things could be applied to anybody. This is a lifestyle podcast, so these things could be applied to anybody. But if it's somebody ghosting you, then you don't need closure. You don't need to know why they ghosted you. If somebody wants to break up with you, you don't need to know why they broke up with you or why they want to break up with you. It may haunt you to know the reason, but think about it like this. The person could just tell you what you want to hear. The person could tell you anything, and that doesn't mean that it's the actual reason. And I know my fellow overthinkers, because I am an overthinker. And while it helps me, oftentimes it hurts me a lot. I know that when we don't have the answer, we think of the possibilities and we create our own answers. And a lot of times we are so far off. Sometimes we spot on, but sometimes we are very far off. But that's okay. Regardless of what the reason is behind the rejection, you have to be okay with the fact that it has reached its end. If you thought that after college you were going to be living a certain type of lifestyle, you was going to work for this company, you were going to be living in this city, you were going to be driving this car, you was going to have this amount of money, like I said throughout this video, it is not the end for you. You don't need to know why it's not happening right now. If that's really what you desire, it is out there for you. And you just have to believe in that and work and wait till it comes to you. But you don't need closure. You don't need to understand why. You just need to accept that it is and move on. You just need to accept that it is and move on. That's the best thing that you could do for yourself. I promise you that. That is the best thing that you could do for yourself. And now for my closing remarks. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you again for listening. And to recap, I just want you guys to remember that there's nothing embarrassing about going through a dark period in your life, because it's inevitable. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's just important to choose life. Be mindful of the things that you say to yourself, the thoughts that you think, the things that you engage in. And honestly, just practice being grateful for whatever it is that you currently still have, or just think into the future about all of the things that you can't wait to accomplish or receive. Be graceful with yourself, be patient with yourself, and for those that you know genuinely love and support you, don't push them out. Just allow them to love and support you, trusting that things will get better. And in your period of waiting, just ask God for guidance on how things will get better, and believe in your why. Because having a strong why and knowing that this can't be the end of your story is really what pushes you to get out of that bed, to take that shower, to apply to that job, to just show up as who you really want to be and who you know yourself to be. You know, don't allow certain circumstances to take the power that you hold away from you, because you are so much more than the things of your past that have been weighing you down. You are so much more. It doesn't matter how old you are, how accomplished you are. That's just not the end of your story. And you can't allow it to keep you down for so long. And I do know that sometimes life does seem to kick you down when you're already down and you're just like, when will this ever end? But you just have to trust that it will get better. Because it will. It will get better. So again, thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you if you are returning. Thank you so much for being here with me again. And if you are new here, thank you for hopefully joining the family. Wink, wink. I wish you guys the best, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Toodles.